Hey everybody, welcome to part two of the interactive calendar. Today we're going to be able to actually put in some input. So if you push run, and we do 1 on the screen, it'll pop up with some input option. So type the month that we want to look into. If I want to choose March, I can. We will have the calendar start on the correct date. We can also clear the board by pushing C. And then push 1 again. We can enter a different month, and it will start on the corresponding dates, and we'll get rid of this 30 and 31 down here. But it will set up perfectly for yourself. So well, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array of strings that will set up our each month. So I can do string month, open close bracket, equals, curly bracket, and we'll have January through Okay, and now that we have our array set up, we need to plug this into the title. So if we scroll down to where we add our title in, instead of Greenfoot title equals new Greenfoot image, December, we're going to cut that. We're going to create that title up here outside of our methods. So it's available to all of the methods in our class. We can do month 11 if we want to start off with December. Okay, so that'll be how we're going to use title from now on. And when they draw image title, they'll know to draw December to start. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we can clear our board. And so we can still, it'll still look similar. December will be lowercase because that's how we wrote it in our array. But we're going to do public void clear calendar. And we will first have our title change transparency. So title dot set transparency to 0. That will make it disappear. Now we need to clear the numbers for the dates, and so we are going to have to create another for loop, and we can actually just kind of copy what we did for drawing it on here, but I'm going to do a for int I equals 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Then I'm going to do for int j equals 0, j less than 8, j plus plus. And I'm actually going to change a couple things up here. So this should be less than 8 because we actually want another row to be added to our list, and it's to our array. Because we want, in case it starts on, in case it starts on a Friday or Saturday, this would extend past the 5 rows that we have given it. And so if we change that to 8, that'll change that. And we'll change this to 8. And then so we are going to, let's close this off just in case, show text, and we are going to show a blank text at the exact location of where our dates are. So draw the dates in the corner right here. The day count is 1, but what are X and Y values? They are times 100 plus 90 times 100 plus 110. You can see that right here. So we're just copying this same X and Y value for the show text, and we're going to put a blank instead of a blank plus day count. We're just going to blank them all out. Okay, so we can go ahead and just essentially copy and paste this. And, normally we wouldn't use I and J, but try to be a little bit more specific, but I think we know what we're talking about here. So that will clear the dates. Then we also need to be able to clear everything else that is on there. So we are going to first have to put our input in before we can clear that. And so we'll get to that a little bit later, but we're going to need to do a public void act for our world class. And have we done that yet? No, it doesn't look like we have. So now if Greenfoot dot is key down C, we will do clear calendar. And then let's go ahead and test this now. Okay, so it compiled. So we run it and I push C. Okay, so it got rid of some of them, but not all of them. Looks like I didn't extend it far enough by going by 5. So these look like they are switched. So this is days of the week up to 8 for the X value. So this needs to be J, and this needs to be I. And then when I run it, if I push C down, there it is, it's clear. But my title's transparency has not changed. So we need to make sure that gets set to 0. So what we need to do here is we need to redraw the calendar with a... So what we need to do here is redraw the calendar with the new set transparency. So we're going to go ahead and draw calendar, which is this.
Good morning, Independence. It's a late start Monday, so all students need to be downstairs in the cafeteria, the commons, or the library areas. Again, all students need to be downstairs, hanging out in the cafeteria, the commons, or the library. Thanks.
So we're going to draw calendar, and that'll reset our transparency of our title, and that is this method right here. We need it, since our title is made a little bit later on, we can go ahead and draw that. And I think for now, we are going to want our draw calendar up here at the top, so that when we push clear, it will clear the entire board. Okay. Now that we're able to clear the board, we need to be able to input information to say which month we want to put up next. And so we need to go in and we actually need to import something from Java outside of Greenfoot that Java will be able to help us out with. So Java, import Java dot JavaX, import Java X dot swing dot J option pane. So we want a J option pane to show up on the screen, and so we want a window to show up on the screen that will ask us for user input. And so we can create a new method. We can call it we can call it public void draw next month. So the first thing we're going to do in this draw next month method is we're going to change our title. We're going to say title equals new Greenfoot image month, but then the array location of this month needs to be integer dot parse int, and this is going to be the input that we put in, and this will be an error for now, but we will fix that here in a moment. And so it'll be our input that we put in minus 1. And so what we've done here is we have had something that will be input into our J option pane, our window. And we are going to convert it into an integer value because it only will accept a string value. And so as it accepts the string value, we want to convert it to an integer value so it can find the location in the month array that we're looking at. So if we plug in 12 for December, it will do 12 minus 1, and it'll be the 11th spot in the array, which the 11th location in our array up here for month is December. So if we plug in 12, we get December. And so that's exactly what we want. And so we need to continue on. Okay, comma, Greenfoot image. It needs font size. And we will have that at 70. Color dot red. Color dot green for the background. All right, now it just doesn't know what input is. And so in order to get input, we're going to need to set up using our J option pane import that we did. So we need to say if Greenfoot.isKey down, 1 will be our way to pull up the window. We are going to say string input equals. And we actually want to declare input outside of this act method so it can be accessed everywhere. So we need to have input declaration string input. Then if we scroll down to the bottom, we can just do input equals. So now this knows it's a string, but it doesn't know what string it is yet. And so we are going to do J option pane dot, and this gives some possible options, a ton of different options actually. And we're going to show input dialog of an object. And so the object that we are going to show the input dialog, we are going to put a string here, and it'll say what numbered month would you like to choose? Okay, then we can close that off. Dialog. Okay. So now that we have created that, let's go ahead and test that. Oh, there's an error. Where is the error? Color dot green in all caps. Okay, let's test this. Okay, if we run it, we can clear it. We can push 1, and this box shows up. If we push 12, not quite. We need to redraw this next month, so we got to call this draw next month. Okay, let's try it now. Run 12. Let's first clear it, then 1, 12. And now that we've stored title, we need to draw title back on there. So we can actually kind of look back at what we've already done before. We can do get background set color, get background fill rectangle, and redraw the title. Okay, I just wanted you guys to make sure that you knew that you need to change this 5 to 6, 5 to 6, and make the Y value up here 700 instead of 600. So we add that last row down at the bottom. Okay, now when we reset it, December, C, we can, if we run it, push C, we can clear the board. Clear it, and then 1, we can enter something. And nothing shows up quite yet, but we need to make sure that we plug in draw next month. So let's try to test this. So now that we have our input, we can do draw next month in our act method, and that should draw at least our title for our next month. Okay, so we run it, clear it, 12, and December pops up. Okay, it won't be in the exact same spot. We run it, try a couple different months just to make sure it works. So push 1, plug in 3, March will show up. Okay, so we have our title showing up. Now the tricky part, well, somewhat tricky part, is that now we need to make sure our days of the week show up. And so we can copy and paste what we've done prior. So we go in and we copy what we've done for the previous month. So we have our draw calendar method, and we copy draw the dates in corner. So we copy that part of the code, and we paste it into draw next month, but we're going to make a couple changes to this. Okay. And so instead of just showing day count no matter what, our day count will change based off of what month it is. So in order to do that, we're going to need to do a switch statement. So first, if we just ran it as it is, no matter what month we have show up, it should show 31 days and we start on the 1st. But we don't want that to be the case. We want only days with 31 days to show up with 31 days, and we want the right day of the week. We want to start on the correct day of the week. Okay, and so with our switch statement, we are going to need to have a variable that tells us which month it is. Okay, so what is that variable going to be? Well, it's going to be our input. Okay, our month is an array, so that'll change. Our input will tell us what month it is. Okay, and so our input is going to be the beginning of our switch statement, curly bracket, and then we have our cases. Okay, so case 1, colon, case 2, colon, case 3, colon. Okay, but these are basically if input equals 1, we're going to do what we put after case 1. If input is 2, we're going to do what's after case 2. But the cool part is you can do multiple months, meaning we can have multiple scenarios. So I'm going to put every month that has 31 days in here. So 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 except for February. So case 3, case 5 for May, case 7, case 8, case 10, and case 12. Is that correct? Can someone double check me on that?
March, April, May, July, and August both have 31.
So I think that's 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then 10 and 12. Okay. So we're going to do something. We're going to have our day count. Well, we're going to need to have this equal something. So we're going to have to create an integer days in month. And we're going to set that equal to 32. Well, let's set it equal to 31, the correct amount. Okay, so now what a switch statement does is it makes it so that each one of these can have its own value. And so this needs to be integer dot parse int. Nope. So this needs to be integer dot parse int of input. So we want our input, once again, will be plugged in as a string, but we want to convert it to an integer. Okay, and then so days in month will equal 31 if 1 is plugged in, 3 is plugged in, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12. Okay, and then we want to change this to less than or equal to days in month. So instead of having this equal to a solid number, we want it to be a variable because we're going to change it. Okay, and we're going to have a break right here. A break means it will exit the switch statement. So if it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, or 12, it will set days to 31, and we will have a break. We will exit the switch statement. Otherwise, case is what? 2 days in month, we'll say is always 28. And we'll have a break here. Case, what am I missing? 4, case 6, case 9, thank you, case 11. Days in month equals 30 and a break. Does everyone understand that? Okay. So before the first break, these are our options. You can plug in 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, or 12, and days in month will be 31. Otherwise, if it's 2, days in month will be 28, and it'll exit the switch statement. Otherwise, if it's 4, 6, 9, or 11, days in month will be 30, and it'll exit the switch statement. Okay? Days in month. Why can't it see days in month? Needs to once again. Nope. Let's start it equaling 0. It needs to be initialized first. So you have to set days in month equal to 0 first. Now there's no errors. So we test. We test, we test, we test. We always test. So we run, we clear the board, plug in 9. How many days should that have?
30.
30. And look at that. We got 30 days in the month. Excellent. Okay. Might as well clear it. Check something else. 2 should have 28. Perfect. Now we just need to move this 1, right? So in order to move this 1, we need to set up another switch statement. Okay? Our other switch statement will be affecting what? Day count. Okay? It'll affect day count. Okay? So we're going to do switch. Once again, integer. Actually, no. Why do we need to make another switch statement when we can just do it right here? Right? Okay, so why not just cut initialize day count up at the top and say if it's January, day count equals, well, let's see, what does January start on? January starts on Wednesday. So if this was 1 originally day count, we want it to be, let's say 1. So we want it to be 0, -1, -2. Day count is -2. Okay, so we test this. Now we run clear 1, 1. Perfect. It starts on Wednesday. But we have -2 and -1 showing up. So we need to go back in and make sure that this also has to be what? When we show our text down at the bottom of this draw next month method, it has to be greater than 0. So and day count must be greater than 0. Test again. Guys, testing, I know, can sometimes be a pain, but early on especially, it'll save you headaches. Uh-oh, I messed up. I messed up somewhere. And day count has to be greater than 0. So I have day count ++ing only if it's inside this if statement. It needs to add up no matter what every time it goes through this loop. But it will only show up if it's greater than 0 or less than the number of months. Okay, so we clear the board. 1, 1. January starts on the correct date, ends on the correct spot. Perfect, excellent. We have enough room in case it was on a Saturday, it would leak over to here. And now all you have to do is fill in the rest of the months, day count, set it equal to the correct spot, and you can move it all over. So here we can edit day count to equal 1. Let's see for May. It'll be Friday. Day count equals -4. April, day count equals -2. June is 0. July is -2. June equals 0. July, day count equals -2. August -5, September -1, August equals -5, September day count equals -1, October and November 2020. -2, -1, 0. Okay, -3, and then 1. Day count equals -3, and day count equals 1. December of next year will be -1. So you can go ahead and test that and make sure that that works, but we've already tested it a little bit, and so I know that'll work correctly. So now we want to put input onto each day so that we can actually click on a day and not only highlight it like we've been able to do before, but also be able to add in a little note on what that day, what's going on that day. So If we use that same J option pane, we can go into days and we can import java x.swing dot J option pane, and we can say if mouse is clicked and there's not a color, we can set the color, and we can get world dot show text, and we will need to first, before we show text, we'll need to do what we did in the world class and create a string input and say our input for this class will equal J option pane dot show input dialog. And what will our message be for this? What note would you like to leave? And then we can simply show text input at get x comma get y. And then we can run it. Enter the month you want to go to. We want to go to April. Let's clear it. If we want to go to April, there we go. Then we can click and say April 1st, April Fools. So we know April Fool's Day, and there it is, shows up for us. Okay, and then when we clear it though, the problem is that we still have these objects here. So we're going to need to add some stuff to our clear calendar method. So let's go to our clear calendar method and let's say for int I equals 0, and actually have the same setup that we have here. Just copy and paste it. And since this was initialized inside of the loop, it is not relevant outside of the loop. So it is not able to be seen outside of the loop. And so show text, and we'll put a space once again. J times 100 plus 50, and I times 100 plus 150. And then we will remove objects of get objects of the day.class. So we're going to remove a list of objects, and it's going to be using the get objects method of all the objects in the day.class. Okay, and so I'll find symbol class day days. Okay, so if we clear it, run, one, say January 24th, my B-Day. Okay, then if I clear it, it clears it all. Okay, so now you guys are able to add in what month you want to put. It will go to the correct date. It will should move over the correct amount. Am I just picking bad numbers? Or is it always starting on 1? Uh-oh. Looks like it's always starting on the first. Okay, and make sure we have that correct. Okay, so what we need to do here is we need to, since we're not breaking it, we need to make sure now that we've added in these numbers to it, We need to add in the number of days in month for each one of these, and then put a separate break because each one are different. So, days in month and break need to be added in here as well. So add in break, and then we test. Guys, this is why we test whenever we get the chance to, so that we can make sure that we are doing things the correct way. So 1, yes. Let's see, 2, yep. Let's see, 6, yeah, it's moved over. Okay, so now we're able to move things over on the calendar. We can enter input, and we can also clear our board. So I think that's all we're going to do for our interactive calendar. Finished part 2, and that'll be it.